Today's topic on this workshop is going to be restored to dignity. And our speakers for today, we got Sandy right here to my left, and I got Bridget to my right. Britton, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And at this time, I'm going to hand it over. I think Sandy's going to start off for us. Go ahead.
I'm Sandy. I'm Adam.
Hey, Sandy.
I want to start by saying I'm somewhat new to the North Georgia area. I moved from North Atlanta about a year ago and continued to sort of go back to where I was comfortable. So I kept going back to North Atlanta, and a couple months ago I decided I really needed to immerse myself in my new area. And I'm not really good at meeting people, so that's something I worked on early recovery. I didn't immediately have friends. I had to work at it. So if I come up and talk to you this weekend, I'm not a weirdo. My goal this weekend is to get to know people. So be nice to me. Anyway, but I'm very glad to be here, and I have never been to this convention. I've always heard really good things about it, so I just thought, I live up here now, I need to come. I need to support. So here I am. And I was, through somebody new in the area, asked to do this workshop. And when he asked me, he said, well, here's what I got. What do you want to do? And I looked at all the topics, and I really wasn't interested in this topic. But I finally just said, you tell me what you need me to do. And so here I am. And I think I was resistant to this topic at first because I thought I had dignity when I was using. I mean, I had this wonderful world that I had built where if you saw me on the street, I looked like a respectable person. I mean, I had a house and a car and a husband and a family and a job. And, I looked dignified, right? But I think when I really started thinking about it, and I mean thinking about it like 2 weeks ago, I wasn't dignified at all. I did a whole bunch of undignified stuff. And, when I say I had a job, I was a nurse and I worked in hospice, and I had 5 jobs in 5 years because I couldn't keep a job. But when you're a nurse, the next place will hire you. And so I started thinking about what did I do that was, undignified, that I didn't have dignity. Well, it's not dignity to walk into a home of somebody that's trusting you to take care of them when they're dying and in pain, and you walk out the door with every bit of payments they've got. That's not dignity. And I lived in a world so much of fear and anger. I was so angry. And I would, if I felt bad about myself, and you were in some sort of service position to me, like a cashier or a waitress, and you did anything that I didn't think was good enough, I'd go off on your ass. I mean, if you were a waitress and you didn't refill my drink, well, I'd tell you real quick how incompetent you were and what an idiot you were, and I did it loudly. Is that dignity to treat somebody that way? And in that desperation of needing my drugs, I did a whole bunch of undignified stuff. I mean, I broke into people's homes. I lied to doctors. I mean, I did a bunch of stuff, and it may not have been the same stuff you did, but I bet y'all know that desperation. That desperation, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get whatever I need. Because that's what it was all about. When you're a nurse, nursing is the most trusted profession, right? Year after year after year when they do polls. But I didn't give a damn about you. You were a means to an end. You were a way for me to get what I wanted. Anyway, so fast forward to today. Do I have dignity today? I think I do. We talk about losing the desire to use, or our literature talks about losing the desire to use and finding a new way to live. Well, I live with dignity today, and I live with integrity today. And that didn't happen just from putting the drugs down. It wasn't like I put the drugs down and all of a sudden I started acting right. And I think, a lot of y'all can probably relate to that. I hear the saying that meeting makers make it. you know, there came a point in my recovery where it wasn't just about not picking up. You know, it was about becoming the person I was supposed to be, becoming somebody I could like, becoming somebody that didn't live in that fear all the time. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, and, you know, and I got there through working steps. You know, that's how you change your life. That's how you become dignified. That's how you start living the life that you're supposed to live, that you can be proud of, or at least for me. And, you know, once I got rid of that fear, I didn't feel the need to put everybody around me down. Once I could look in the mirror and like who I was, I didn't feel the need to make everybody feel less than, so I thought I could feel a little bit better for a minute. And that's a process. And it takes time, you know, to get rid of all that fear and that insecurity and loving yourself. And, you know, I look back, I go into every year of my recovery going, well, this year I want to focus on this, you know. But then every year when I pick up my key tag or my medallion, I like to look back at what did I accomplish that year. And you know, last year when I picked up my key tag, it was that I loved myself. And that was huge. Huge. I loved myself enough last year that I left my asshole of a husband. Do you know how big of a deal that was? Because, you know, up until then, he treated me the way he treated me. I thought I deserved it. And then one day, back to the dignity thing, was, you know what, I had too much dignity and too much integrity to let somebody treat me that way. And to be able to walk away from that was, wow. You know, because that was easy, that was comfortable, I was used to it. Mm-hmm. And it was hard, it's been hard on my own. And it's been hard to be alone, and it's been hard to not run out and try to find another man. Because, you know, there was a whole bunch of, you know, talk about not being dignified. You know, men were a drug too. You know, if I had a man that wanted me and was attracted to me, well, then I had self-worth. And it was just, I'd do whatever I needed to have a man. And you can get into really undignified situations when you're talking about that. But, you know, today, I don't have a man in my life, and I'm okay with it. I'm not going to go, you know, there are moments where I think I need a man. And, but I'm not going back to that place. I'm not going back to that place to behave like I did just to get what I wanted. And, you know, that's the big thing for me is, you know, dignity is not about what I appear on the surface. My dignity is displayed through my behavior. And being an addict, I'm not perfect. And I still have moments where I find myself being undignified. Just a couple of things that come to mind. About a month ago, I walked into a grocery store, and the girl looked at me and she asked me if I had my little shopper card. And I'd had a rough day. You know, I was tired. I'd worked 16 hours. I was hungry. I was just exhausted. And I looked at her and I said, no, I don't have it with me. Well, she was looking at her phone when I said that. So 2 minutes later, she said to me again, do you have your shopper card? And I looked at her and I said, are you stupid? I just said to you I didn't have it. So it's real easy to go back to that, you know, that behavior. Another undignified thing that I've done in the last couple months was I work on a convention committee. And and that's stressful. I don't know if y'all have ever done convention work, but it's stressful, and you get, and I got into this whole place where if anything happens wrong, it's going to be my fault, and I'm going to look bad. And, all those insecurities came up, and I jumped on somebody else in the committee who was, I don't know how to say this and not sound bitchy, but was in a lesser role than mine. So I felt above her at that moment. And I went off on her. And I made her cry. And here she is just trying to do service. And, in that moment, I lost my dignity. In that moment, I those old feelings came back. But you know, through working the steps, I realized I have something I can do when I get in those situations now. You know, the first thing I did was sit there and figure out what about me made me do that. Because it had nothing to do with her. You know, whether, you know, she asked me a question I thought was stupid or she just asked me a question. You know, it had nothing to do with her behavior or what she was doing. She was just doing the best she could. That was all me. That was all that insecurity and me wanting to feel better about myself for that moment because I made somebody else feel down here, me feel up here, which, you know, is a horrible thing to do to somebody. But through the steps, you know, I figured that out. I figured out what my part in it is because that's always the first thing my sponsor says to me is, what's your part? Well, it was my part was that and those old defects coming out. And in both of those situations, my responsibility as being a recovering addict and working my program was to go make amends to those people. Mm-hmm. And, you know, once I did that, she felt better. We repaired our relationship. We moved on, and I didn't do it again. I took that convention, I took all that pressure off of myself that I had to make it perfect. With the cashier, I got halfway home, and I thought, God, that was a shitty thing to do to somebody. You know, here's this girl, she's 16 years old probably, it's her first job, and I went off on her, you know, because I was having a bad day. You know, not her, it was me. And I turned my car around, went back, walked in, and apologized to her. And there again, I said something to somebody today. You know, I read, amends without change is manipulation. And I loved that when I read it. Because, you know, amends is not an apology. And amends is fixing what you did and not doing it again. And I can say it's been a month. I'm not promising I'll never do it again. But, you know, I'm more conscious of it. You know, other people have other things going on, and it's, you know, it's not my place to take out my frustrations or my feeling bad about myself on other people. And, I'm talking too fast, but I'm running out of things to say. So, I just think, you know, through working the steps, I've just gotten to a point in my life where I try not to do those things anymore, and my defects, you know, they're not totally gone. They're still there, and I can still act on them at any moment. But I try to live my life today in a way that I don't have to go make amends to people, that I don't hurt them in the first place. And, you know, when you live your life trying to make the right decisions and doing the best you can, even when you mess up sometimes, you know, that's a life of dignity to me. And like I said earlier, I can look in the mirror today and like who I am. And I may have moments where I'm not in love with myself, but I love myself today. And for those of y'all that struggle with that, it's an amazing thing when it happens. You know, we talk about miracles in this program, and that is a true miracle. You know, the first miracle is not using the miracles that come after are what change who you are. And you know, those are the ones that made my life what it is today, so that I don't need to use, and I don't want to use. And I think, you know, if I just kept going to meetings, I don't know if I'd still be here. I don't. I mean, you know, a meeting's an hour a day, or, you know, and I can hear things from people. But until I'm doing something, I'm not changing. Just listening, just taking, you know, that's not going to get me anywhere. I've got to work, and I got to give back. And I'll just touch on that for a minute. You know, service, that's a way to feel good about yourself and get some dignity, because I don't know about y'all, but, you know, who trusted you to do anything for them when you were using? I mean, I know I never kept commitments. You know, if I told somebody I was going to do something, hell, I wasn't going to do it. You know, but today when I have a commitment, it's important to me. I had a nurse that called me yesterday and said, I don't think I'm going to be able to work tomorrow. And I spent 3 hours yesterday finding somebody to work. Because if I didn't find somebody, I was going to have to work, and that meant I wasn't going to be able to be here. And this was a commitment, and I keep my commitments today. And, you know, so that's just what dignity means to me. And this was really good for me because, like I said, when I first started thinking about this topic, I thought, well, I was dignified back then because I looked dignified. But just to reiterate, you know, what I learned from being asked to do this workshop is, yeah, dignity is not what you look like. Dignity is how you act. And I'm glad today to have behaviors that express dignity and integrity, and just glad to be here. And thanks for letting me share. And I'm going to turn it over to Miss Brittany over there.
Thanks for sharing. Hey, I'm Brittany. I'm an addict. We have a lot in common, and I definitely can look back and say the same. I thought I was dignified, but I had no self-respect, no self-worth, nothing at all. And it didn't just start when I started using. It was long before then. We were talking on the car ride here. I remember being very young and having to compete with my older sister, and I always felt like she was better than me. I never felt like I was good enough. I started using it at a pretty young age. I was 14, and the first time I used, I drank. I lost my virginity the same night. That's no self-respect right there. And it just kept progressing and kept progressing. I thought I had it all. I had a BMW and I had my own car, and I justified that, well, I used, but you know, at least I didn't give my kids up. At least, you know, they're still with me. I'm a good mom. I still have my kids. I was wrong. I was subjecting them to that insane lifestyle, and I'm sure I probably damaged them. I live with a lot of guilt. I always believed in God, but the only time I ever called on God was when I was in a jail cell. That's it. Help me get out of here, God. I promise I won't do this again. I've been arrested at least 18 times. In and out, in and out, in and out of jail. The day I stopped using, it's crazy, me and my oldest daughter were arguing. She wanted to go to some Halloween party, and I told her no, and I looked up and I said, God, I'd rather be in jail than deal with this. And within 24 hours, I was locked up. And of course, until I had some clean time and like my brain came back, I didn't realize that was my first spiritual awakening, and that he was there with me this whole time. All I needed to do was ask for help. And I went to jail. I couldn't get out. I had no bond. I wasn't leaving. I got some pretty serious charges. I was 30 years old at the time. And I finally just accepted the fact that that's exactly where I needed to be. I needed to change my life. For so many years, I looked to men for my self-worth. I felt like if I had a man that wanted me, then I was worthy and I was special or whatever. And I manipulated and used men for so many years to get what I wanted. I never had a job. First of all, I couldn't get along with anybody. I was very angry. I couldn't keep a job because I would blow up on somebody. I didn't know how to control myself. I'm still very, very impulsive, but I just felt like I couldn't keep a job. I didn't graduate from high school. I didn't go to college. I had my kids at a very young age. I had 3 by the time I was 23 years old. And I just wanted a man to love me. That's all I wanted. I wanted somebody that was going to love me and not hurt me and not cheat on me and just be there for me. And I turned to selling my body for my choice of drug. And for multiple years, that's what I did. And when I was in prison, I went to prison for the charges I got. And I didn't use, but I still had these reservations for when I got out that I was going to be okay because I can just go back and sell my body and that's how I'll get money and I don't need a man and I'll never work. I don't have a high school education. How am I going to ever get a job? And when I finally got out, the first thing I did when I got out was come to a meeting. And like I said, it took me a while to like realize my self-worth, and I still manipulated men. I still tried to do what I had to do to get money because I just didn't feel like I could ever work. I have a sponsor, Meeting Makers Make It. I did my 90 and 90 plus way more than that. I went to 3 meetings a day for the first 9 months that I was out of prison. I didn't work, but my ass was in a meeting at every single hour I could get to one. I have a sponsor. I work the steps. I'm actually on my 6th step right now. And, you know, I had that fear before I worked my 4th step. I was scared because everybody made it seem like it was a big deal, but it wasn't. All it does is bring you the awareness of what you need to work on. And it has for me. And still today, like Sandy said, I still do crazy shit, y'all. And thank God I have an accountability partner that lives with me, and he points me out on my shit. But I'm nervous. I'm so nervous, y'all. I have a job today, and when I first got this job, it was just something to prove to the man that I was with that I could do it and I didn't need him. And today I started at the bottom. I do traffic control, so I'm out there with a little flag directing traffic for a construction company, and I hated it. My boss actually took a picture of me one day, and like, just remember, when you're flagging, you're responsible for all the traffic, you know, making sure nobody's going into the work zone where these guys are working. I'm out there reading a Narcotics Anonymous book, and they're taking pictures of me like, look, what the hell is she doing? You know what I mean? She's not watching traffic. But that's all, like I said, I was dedicated to my recovery. I just wanted to be better. And today, I have progressed. I'm DOT certified. I'm a driver for the company. I just recently got my supervisor traffic control. So within a year, I have started from the bottom and moved completely up. And I never thought I could do it. And I mean, I promise you, I have a sister that graduated from Stanford. She's a top attorney in the United States. Another sister graduated from Berkeley. So I just felt this need to like compete with them, and I just never felt like I was good enough. And today I'm so happy. With my little flagger job, I'm so happy. I don't have to manipulate any men to get what I want. I don't have to sell my body for drugs. I don't want to use at all. At all. And for so long, you guys, like I never thought that I would ever stop using. That was just my life. I was the girl that was going to die getting high. That's all I knew. I just accepted it. And today, it rarely comes up that I want to use a drug. Every now and then I do have that taste for a beer, but I don't. And my life is just completely different. I still don't have my children. When I went to prison, my father got my kids. And that eats me up big time. It's like this guilt thing I have, like, you know, somebody else is taking care of my kids. But I have a wonderful relationship with them. My kids have never seen a sober, clean mom, never. They lived through it their entire lives, 10, 11, and 13-year-old girls. And for the first time in their lives, they have stability. They're in New York with my father. They have a great life. But I've proved myself to my family. I'm coming up on 3 years clean. And I've proved myself to them, and they're ready. My dad's 61 years old. He's ready to say, come and get your kids, you know, you're their mom. And I've talked to them about some things, and they've told me, you know, Mom, we never knew you were using, but we do know that you're not as angry as you used to be. And you're a lot calmer, and you spend time with us, and you're just different, you know. And I'm so grateful for that. So grateful for this program. I'm grateful that I have an alcoholic mother that went through the same thing, that planted the seed with me. Even before I started using, she planted the seed, so I knew where to come when I got out of prison. I knew exactly where to go. I feel dignified today. There's days when I'm insecure still. I don't think I'm beautiful, or I don't think I'm good enough. But, like I said, those steps have given me the awareness, and I feel a lot better about myself, and I know that I'm worth it. And I respect other people too. But like Sandy said just a couple weeks ago, there's always drama when you're in meetings and your home groups around people, and there was some drama, and I had to open my mouth, and I said some things to somebody that I shouldn't have said, and this one had to stop me from like beating somebody up, and we ran into this girl in a meeting maybe 3 weeks ago, and before I walked into the meeting, somebody approached me and said, she's in there, and I already said, I'm going to jail. If I see this girl, I'm going to kill her, And I went through the meeting, I stayed calm, I didn't say anything. After the meeting was over, I walked straight up to her and gave her a big hug and apologized to her. And that's not me. I was that girl that would beat girls up for no reason, just because I felt powerful, that I had to whoop somebody's ass because I just had to feel that power. Today it's just totally different, and I never thought that I could be that person, really. And I felt so much better after I apologized to this girl. And I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be crazy. I'm just happy. And I know it can only get better. And I don't really have a lot more to say either, but I'm grateful that I was asked to do this, and I'm still nervous, but like you said, I keep commitments today, and I'm just very, very grateful for this program, and thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
This time we open up the floor. Anybody want to say some things?
My name is G, and I'm an addict. The whole dignified thing, it was,
Thank you.
I think the more and more I got deeper into my active addiction, what I'm saying? Dignity, I was like, who is that? And, all I thought about was one more. And, I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and steal these folks' stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about no dignity, I'm worried about one more. But, I think I was an isolationist that was just my character. So cause it made it harder for me to really I can conversate with people and play the role. You know what I'm saying? I had a million masks on. You know what I'm saying? But when I got to a point, of recovery, I started to say, I'm like, I had a double dose of that isolation thing. You know what I'm saying? So it felt like it made my situation worse. But I'm glad to decide to do something about the problem. I've been around a little bit, and now that I can see how I've grown, and I've learned some things about myself, and I usually didn't know what dignity was, but I know today. It's like when I came up here today, you know what I'm saying? People I might have seen them once or twice, like, gee, that's all that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That humbles me and makes me feel good. You know what I'm saying? That I'm recognizable to people I don't recognize. And you know what I'm saying? It does something on the inside of me. But I thank y'all for sharing the story. I too know what it's like to be in that box, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit, trim out and everything. But yeah, I'm glad to be here today, and once again, thank y'all for sharing the story. Thanks for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing.
My name's Chris, I'm an addict.
Hey, Chris.
Dignity was a long time coming for me. I relate with both of you. If you were a man, especially, if you had something I wanted to do, you could have whatever you wanted as long as I got what I wanted. I confused love with codependence, all the time. what would have been one night stand turned into a relationship kind of thing, you know, like horrible. But it comes with integrity, though. You know, when I wake up every day, work my program, the self-respect kind of came later for me. The lack of self-loathing came later, and they still pop their ugly little heads. But when I wake up and keep my commitments and good employee, do my best to be a good daughter, a good girlfriend, or a good friend, you know, those actions of integrity gives me dignity. You know that I don't have to lie, steal, cheat, manipulate to feel good about myself anymore. And to recognize, like you said, the awareness, to recognize that those things never did make me feel good. There are temporary solutions to a lifelong problem. I know the life solutions and the steps of this program. Now that being said, I'm just over 4 years sober. There are still things in my sobriety, behaviorally speaking, that I battle with. You know, I was raised in violence. It's, you know, I'm not generally a violent person, but you get one of those emotional triggers. And it's rage, it's 0 to 1,000. And I never said this out loud, but I'm going to tell y'all. It's not true, I said it to my sponsor, but I was sponsoring a girl, and she triggered me, and she figured out my emotional triggers, and within seconds, I had my hands around her throat. You know? That's not how you sponsor somebody. But what did that show me? You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no big ring, there was no, it was all right. You know? Afterwards, there was an amendment making on both hands. The sad thing was is that just like myself, she'd been in an abusive relationship so much that it was not a big deal to her. And I bawled and I cried, and I was like, it's supposed to be a big deal. We're not supposed to be used to that. You know what I mean? Needless to say, I took a break from sponsoring for a little while. Called my therapist, called my sponsor, what is going on? Because it surprised me. You know, but that's how quick those things come up, you know, recovery or not. That's why this program every single day, just for today, is so important to me. Because there is, you know, part of dignity is self-control. And I lost a lot of, you know, it humbled me. You know, but I felt like I lost a lot of dignity there. It took me a long time coming back from that. A long time. You know, like, that shit right there sat me on my ass. And, you know, I kind of worked through that stuff. Now I'm in another different type of relationship. It's not a sponsored relationship, or really a romantic, but it's a very intimate relationship. Somebody knows a lot about me, you know what I mean? And that vulnerability there, that lack of trust, is a trigger for me. You know, back when maybe I used to use, now it's like I'm staring at death. I'm going to put my hands on somebody again. You know, I mean, but it's something that I work through with my sponsor, and it's something that I work through with my higher power. And I'm telling you, that 10 step is everything for me in dignity. Every single day. I can't pass it up. I can't afford to pass it up. My sponsors apparently cannot afford for me to pass that up. So I really appreciate this topic. When I saw it on the menu, I was like, that's the one for me. You know, to get in there and be honest. I really appreciate y'all letting me share. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Hey.
Hey, Ken.
It's been years, but today I think I feel good. My life is like a crack. To me, drugs came to be free. And the more and more I did it, the worse and worse I got. And just one day I just woke up, right? I got to be trained. I talked to my counselor and I told him, y'all have to do something with me. If you don't,
Hey,
Melinda.
I don't have a lot of experience with the word dignity. In fact, I thought this was the other meeting. It's been a day already. I'm glad this is the topic though. Just trying to understand integrity, self-worth, living clean and not acting out like psycho anymore. It's hard work, but the results are good, and it's worth it to keep coming back, keep trying this. I've heard a lot of your stuff here today. Hope I remember it later. That's all I got.
thanks for saying that.
I'm Frank, I'm an
Hey, Frank.
I'm very grateful to hear today speaking. I was thinking about a lot of stuff. I can relate to a lot of things I've heard already. But the part I guess I'm thinking about was, to me, like I said, I had a really messed up thing too. But before I had to admit that I was an addict and had to get clean, yeah, everything was pretty good on the surface. I mean, had just got a new house, had a job, had a wife, but I was miserable. You know, and that's why I was using it in my job and not being honest with my wife. She thought I'd stopped using it for years, and it just but also I thought alcohol was a beverage, not a drug. So I learned a lot of things. I was just insane, you know, and I was lying to everybody around me to cover my using it. And finally, when it all broke, and it did, you know, I fired my job, and then when I was in debt, you know, it looked good on the surface, we had no money, and no money to pay a mortgage. And so, anyway, everything changed within that first year, but I'm so grateful for this program because that's when I started. I got so afraid I had to get honest to everybody and then start over and learn what dignity is. And to me, it is all about commitment. Because, I mean, my family didn't trust me for anything. I mean, I would do things if I felt like it, or if it was convenient for me, if I was getting something out of it. And see, now I finally learned what service is, or just giving without expecting something back. And this thing, you know, this. You know, like I said, now I'm in a home group and I've done some service work, and it's awesome because the fact that people recognize me now in this program, but they know who I am, whereas nobody knew I was before because I didn't know who I was. It was all just BS, you know, all I did was, you know, I would manipulate people. I would say, I was a people pleaser too, so I would say anything thinking that's what you wanted to hear, but again, I was trying to get something out of it. It's totally different now. And I'm still on this journey, and I'm still working steps. And step forward, like I said, I spent a long time on that. And I wish I hadn't because it's not that bad. I mean, I built up my head like it was unbelievable. And really, it is. Like, it wasn't that bad. But it does help you get honest, and I'm still working on so much. And you know, thank God I did this program. Thank God for my sponsor. You know, that's where it's good to have somebody you talk to, and my network on a regular basis. And just keep taking this one day at a time. Thanks for the show.
Thanks, Frank.
Kathy on that.
Yeah.
You're recognized for your stories and your vulnerability. Amazing. So, I guess I don't know if I'll ever really get this dignity thing. Because literally last night, I had been to a women's meeting out of town, and I was going back home, and like, you know, there were two lanes, and I was in the right-hand lane, sort of ahead of the driver in the left-hand lane, and so my assumption is he's going to get out of my way, because I'm ahead of him, and I'm fixing to come over. You know, no matter what, like, and if you don't get out of my way, well, I'm just going to move you out of my way. And, you know, I literally came over anyway. And he had to move into the oncoming lane. Now, I don't know who was right or wrong. I just know that that was wrong for me. You know, like, traffic-wise speaking, who was supposed to do what. But for me, it was about, get out of my way. You know, and when I realized that I had really run him off the road, I slowed down and went out behind him. And I didn't feel like I was using integrity even when I did that. You know, I guess I was. Somewhere in this head. You know, I think that if I had been using more dignity, I wouldn't have been so inclined to have my way. You know, and that's all that was. Like, this is what I want, so you have to move out of my way. And, gosh, I don't know how many years it's going to take, probably way more. I don't know. But there are things that I can, you know, speaking about, you know, commitments and stuff like that. And those ways, generally all the time I keep my commitments. I do what I'm asked to do or what I say I will. Sometimes I'm late. But, you know, one thing that this program teaches me, and I'm so grateful for because I'm not perfect. Thank God I don't have to be. It teaches me that I can continue to move forward and that I can do things to the best of my ability. And that if I'm not acting in dignity, I have the ability to check myself. And I like the 10-step and that. That's what I do every day. You know, because I have to, because I do stuff like that still. You know, and I know that there's something wrong with that. And then I find myself just randomly, you know, doing something like that. You know, it's not even like, I probably wouldn't be who I am, or even where I'm at in my recovery, if I wasn't a risk taker. Like, part of that is I like being on that finish line of sorts. And it goes like that when I was in active addiction. And I've kind of brought that with me as I've moved forward. So, and now I see more that I'm using, you know, humility and dignity and integrity more than I didn't use it. So, you know, I'll take that as progress. I haven't really broken any laws in a long time, so that's a good deal. You know, that takes a lot of dignity because I had a criminal mindset, you know, and I did criminal behaviors, which led me to some of your circumstances as well. But I haven't had to do that in a really, really long time. And sometimes I just do things and it reminds me of the way I was. And so it shows me that I still have it in me. And if I still have that in me, I have other stuff in me. And so if I don't come to these conventions or these meetings or have a sponsorship family and work with my sponsor or have a network that I can talk to other people and be a part of it, if I don't do that stuff, then I will fall right back into where I was. It doesn't matter how long I think. It doesn't even matter, you know. And because I still do some crazy behaviors. And so that still shows me that, you know, I still have that stuff in me. I'm glad I got that out. It was kind of bothering me this morning that I did that behavior. So let me share.
I'm sharing when I was using, I grew up in a family where if everybody looked okay on the outside, it didn't really matter what was on the inside as long as nobody knew. And that's kind of carried into my addiction. And, you know, my dignity in my little tiny world was I had insurance, I could go to whatever doctor. I was older, I had insurance, I could get stronger medication. I could pass drug tests, I could, you know what, and all that, and I got kicked out of bank money. It was like, wait a minute, that's not me. And, you know, people stole the mess, I couldn't find it. Wait a minute, I'm always the one, that's not me. And so, you know, even that outward dignity that I thought was dignity was chopped away there at the end, and I even had people still in those clothes that made me look like, you know, I'd wear to the pharmacy and stuff. And, so now, you know, when I first got clean, and I don't have a whole lot of time, I'm not going to talk a whole lot, I don't have a lot of clean time. I'm still in the phase right now. I have to learn how to feed myself as far as, not going to food banks because of the time I had went to drugs or, something. I go into restaurants to get a straw and grab the whole big thing of Kleenex because I know I didn't have any tissue paper at home, so when I got clean, the first thing I had to do was learn how to feed myself in a manner where I didn't go to food banks and went shopping every week. And cooking and cleaning my dishes and folding my clothes. And it's been a very humbling experience because I looked around and I thought, well, I'm not homeless, so I would be ahead of the game. Oh, hell no. I'm still at the bottom and I'm still learning how to keep my dishes done and, show up for work on time and, just put one foot in front of the other. And I barely scratched the fourth step, but, awareness came into why maybe I was doing some things I did, but barely scratched the fourth step and didn't get to know myself. But, right now my dignity today is, just taking care of myself, self-care, just basic self-care, and giving myself a break. The first time my sponsor told me to give myself a break, what the hell does that mean? I think I've been on break for 10 years. And now I know what that means. It's, sharing is progress, not perfection, and, dignity means ability to give myself a break. Not a vacation, but a break. So thank you for letting me share.
Thanks for sharing.
I'm Leanne, I'm an addict. It really makes me think of two things this topic does. When I first got clean, I went to Women's Recovery Program that I was supposed to be in for 9 months, and I left after 2 because I couldn't handle getting honest. But there were 2 really important things that were like foundational for my recovery that went on from there. And the first was being told that I'm not a victim, because I always thought that I was. And that was key for me. That's all about dignity and taking responsibility. And the other thing was just this simple prayer that she taught us, and it was, help me get through this with dignity and grace. And I said that, 1,000 times a day, every day. I still do that when I'm faced with something that I'm not sure how I'm going to handle it or how I'm going to act. I still remember that prayer from, millions of years ago, it seems like. And I think that, sometimes we can get confused with thinking that if I'm acting in a different way than I'm feeling, then I'm being fake, I'm not being real. And what I learned about that was the more I behave in a way that is dignified and self-respecting and respecting other people, the more that becomes a part of my character. And I don't have to be dishonest about it. Writing was my saving grace because I wrote about all the nasty, awful things that I wanted to do to people. I would share, I always wanted to burn stuff down and break your shit. Because I had so much anger. And I know that energy has to go somewhere. I have to not pretend that it's not there. It has to go somewhere, and for me, it was writing so that I could look and go, if for no other reason, even if it's selfish, I don't want to do these things because I don't want to have to deal with the consequences, And I think that was just really key for me to learn those 2 things, is that because as having a victim mentality, I didn't have the power, I didn't think, to make the decisions. And then just to learn how to, I hate this term, but fake it till you make it. But be honest about what's really going on in the back of my mind. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Sam. I'm John, and I'm an addict. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you. And at this time, let's close it out with a